Well, good afternoon, students and families. I apologize today. My video is coming in a little bit late. I normally do these videos early Friday morning, somewhere right around the 7 o'clock, 7:30 mark. Today, we are at 12:45 in the afternoon that I'm filming this. And so we're coming in a little bit later. I also apologize because this camera is like we're at sea. Look at this. We're just wiggling. It's like we're on a ship together. So I hope I don't cause any unneeded motion sickness on your part. I don't have a whole lot of news for you today. I do have a few things that we'll go over, and then I'll give you the tour of the office, the home office here. And by the home office, I really mean my wife's home office and my students' now home office. And by students, in this case, it's my own personal children, Luke and Juliet's home office during this COVID-19 stuff. Speaking of the COVID-19 stuff, I try to start with an update, and here we go. On this first day of May, the United States has 1,031,000 cases with 60,000 deaths. Indiana has 18,600 cases with 1,062 deaths. Jefferson County has 29 cases, no deaths. Jennings County has 78 cases with 2 deaths. And Switzerland County has 15 cases with 0 deaths. So I had another colleague of mine who lost their parents this week, their father to COVID. And so please make sure that you are continuing to pray for those who have been impacted most strongly by this pandemic. Whether it's because of having the actual pandemic or just because of the changes in society that this pandemic has caused. I know a lot of people who are struggling with health in the hospital aren't able to be visited by their loved ones, and that's very difficult for families as well. So please make sure, students, that you're taking the time to pray every day, which sometimes we forget to do when we don't have people there reminding us, living that with us. And I'm sure your parents are doing a good job, and if your parents aren't doing as good of a job, you can be the one that does a good job for them. So make sure that you're taking the time to pray, and while you're praying, pray for those who have been most greatly affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, because they're around you. So also I would give this advice. There's different schools of thoughts on this whole thing, and there are some people that feel like it's all foolish and it's all silly. I would be very careful, sharing that opinion loudly in front of other people, because you very well may be speaking with someone who had a major issue in their family based on this disease. And so you want to be sensitive to other people and to what they're struggling with in life at all times, and that's one way to do it. So I wanted to thank you for today. I found out Principal's Day. I didn't really, it surprised me, came out of nowhere, and the teachers have said a lot of very gracious things, and I've had a lot of students reach out and say a lot of gracious things, and I had a great reminder of the many blessings that I have being at Shawe in the last year and being at Pope John for the 7 years before that. So I very much thank all of you. I feel blessed every day that I get to be a part of this amazing community of the Prince of Peace Parish and Prince of Peace Catholic Schools. So thank you so much. I see a foot there in the background. Commencement is the big ticket item everyone's waiting for. I had 2 dates potentially for commencement. One was a June date, one was a July date. On Tuesday, we realized that when they closed schools for the school year at the state level, they were speaking legally and not educationally, which makes a lot of sense because it's the state government closing schools. And the state government defines a school year as going through June 30th. And so they do not want events in our buildings related to school through June 30th. So no open gyms, no those things. Unfortunately, that threw out a potential June date for commencement. So we are working on finalizing a July 19th date for commencement as our potential commencement date. We are going to do our best to move forward with that. I would like to say right now that that's the date. I can't, because at 2:30 today, the governor is speaking about what Indiana is going to look like over the next couple months. And there is a small chance that he could come on and say something that totally negates the July 19th date. But if he doesn't at 2:30 today, then we are going to move forward after this weekend with trying to plan our very best to have a live and in-person commencement on July 19th, with a few little add-ins, hopefully, to make sure that we can include everyone that we can possibly include and still remain safe. Yesterday was our last day of new assignments for our seniors. This next week is their makeup work week, with the exception of those that have some dual credit classes. So if you have a friend who's a senior, reach out to them and tell them congratulations. They are coming to the end, and very soon a new beginning. It's an exciting time. It's not necessarily fair that happened here this way with COVID-19, but it doesn't change the fact that we are extremely proud of them, that they have put in a lot of hard work for a long time, and that we're all very much looking forward to the wonderful things that they're about to do with their lives in the next 2, 8, 10, 20, 50 years. So super excited for the seniors. If you haven't talked with one recently, give them an email, reach out to them, tell them congratulations. They are coming to the end of this high school race, and we can't be more proud of them and of the young men and women that they have become. Next week will be the last week of new work for the rest of you, and then the following week will be your makeup work week, so pretty soon you'll all be in a similar boat to the seniors right now. Joke time! I love this one, and you may not get it, but I think it's great. A woman walks into a library and asks the librarian, "Hey, where are all the books on paranoia?" And the librarian leans in and whispers, "They're right behind you." So good. Oh, it's so good. Last week's teacher, who was a gas station attendant as their very first job, was Mr. Bill Gordon. So it was Mr. Gordon. Those students who said Mr. Gordon, you are absolutely right. Last week I put a survey out in the weekly thing. That survey can still be accessed, and I have it in this week's attendance document as well, so you can see that below. There are 2 separate ones, one for junior high, one for high school. If you haven't filled it out, you have a chance to get credit to do that still. So please take the time to fill that out. This week's teacher. In the early 2000s, this teacher followed the band OAR, and they've seen more shows of this band than anyone could count. This teacher was in a madrigal choir in high school, and that choir dressed up in full costumes. They sang a cappella. They provided a meal. It was a full production thing that this teacher was regularly involved in. If this teacher had not been a teacher, they would have been interested in dentistry as their profession, in dentistry. And the fourth clue, this teacher plays the guitar and often performs classic rock songs for friends. So, that is the teacher of the week. That's your guess. You'll have a place in the document to guess which teacher you think it is that followed a band in the early 2000s, was in a choir in high school that did the full production, a cappella, madrigal choir, that considers dentistry as a profession, and that plays guitar and performs classic rock songs for friends. Who is that teacher? You can tell me, and I will tell you next week who that teacher is. A reminder, students, that while the teachers are going to be re-giving assignments to you, that's a pretty big hardship on some of them. It's a tough thing to have to deal with makeup work while you're still trying to create new curricula. And so please make sure that you are thanking them for the hard work that they're doing. And remember that if you don't turn anything in, it is a 0. And we can't tell what your knowledge of content is without some type of evidence that you have knowledge of content. We do still expect that you're doing work, so please make sure that you're turning those assignments in so that they are not 0s. I am in my office, and let's give you the quick tour. Normally, this is where Laura hangs out. You can see the bookcase back here, my favorite series of books ever. There's some right here. Here's some of the very, very old Wizard of Oz books. Got some Hobbit stuff there. Some photos of the family. Some drawings that have been done. And we move this way. And you end up with, this is Laura's workspace. It's where she works about 6 hours a day when we're not dealing with COVID stuff and processing photos. We lucked out because she got a new computer recently, and so we were able to take the old computer and set it up over here as our son and daughter's workspace, so it's where they do their homework in the morning. Luke usually gets up around 7 and finishes his homework first, and then Juliet does her homework after he's finished. Over here, you have the windows outside. We've got the piano that the kids practice the piano on. And then we've got the other window to outside, a lamp to add extra light right now. And that is the whole kit and caboodle of our office space. So hope you enjoyed it. Next week, I'm going to be showing you our back room. It's the big room. And then the week after that, I'll be showing you the outside of our house. And so I did promise you a Shawe video. My wife is working on it. I hope that it is out this weekend. I wanted it out by today, but it's been a busy week. Laura she had a birthday yesterday, and so I wasn't going to sit there and be like, you work on this video today on her birthday, you know. So look for that. It'll show you a bunch of pictures of what the school looks like right now. And I hope that all of you students take the time to do the work and to answer the questions below so that I can count you for attendance. I hope families are staying safe. Students, make sure you're still coming out of those rooms to be with your family some. It is, again, third week in a row I'll say it, it's a bad habit to get into, to try to just close yourself off from the world. So your family can sometimes bring you some joy if you're open to that. So make sure you're spending some time with your family. And normally I say goodbye, so Juliet, go ahead.
Have a nice day.
Goodbye.